Good morning. Welcome to the February 19th, 2021 edition of Bob's Coffee Chat. This is a weekly Friday morning Zoom meeting focused on surviving and thriving in the era of Corona. And I'm your host, Bob Bednars. And I'm excited about today's presentation. It's how to tame the joy-stealing dragons in life and business. And it's presented by Linda Shively. Has been a Wall Street Journal. She's been in the Wall Street Journal. She's a best-selling author. She's an award-winning speaker and neuroscience and mindset expert. Linda has presented across the country at places like the Harvard Club of Boston, the New York City Bar Association, Walmart, and Carnegie Hall. Linda has studied brain and mind function for over 30 years, earning a psychobiology degree from UCLA, is a certified master life and executive coach, a master practitioner and trainer of NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming. She's also a master hypnotherapist and a certified laughter yoga leader. Love that. Linda's going to show us how to defeat the self-sabotaging patterns that keep us stressed and overwhelmed. And Linda, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thanks, Bob. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and I opened the back door, and bzz, in flies a green hummingbird. And it flies up to the landing and tries to get out the window, but it can't. And it starts to get frantic, and it keeps flying, trying to find a way out. It sees a skylight, and it gets up to the skylight, and it's beating its beak against the window, and it can't get out because it knows where it wants to go. It sees that bright blue sky, but there's this invisible barrier preventing it from getting there. Have you ever known where you want to go and something invisible seems to be getting in your way? Would you like to know the number one secret to success? It's the middle of December 2005. I have to make a tough decision. I have to decide how to escape an abusive marriage with my severely handicapped 3-year-old daughter, Jessica. Jessica is a bright-eyed, happy little girl. She's excited to go to preschool. She loves to read and to play. She loves stickers. She also has a condition called spinal muscular atrophy, which is a progressive neuromuscular disorder that affects her ability to crawl, walk, swallow, and even breathe. She has to have a tube to help her breathe and a tube to help her eat. With the strength of her index finger, she's able to zoom around with a power chair, getting wherever she wants to go, seeing the world. She has a communication device where she's able to let people know what she wants, in addition to her animated big brown eyes and eyebrows, which I cannot move like she can move them. She brings me so much joy. My marriage keeps me on high alert. I never know when he's going to explode. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I think if I do what he wants, everything will be fine. Yet, that doesn't work. Everything isn't fine. When he gets upset and throws a package of frozen food at the back of my head while I'm taking care of Jessica, I knew I had to leave. But I had no idea how. How am I going to do this on my own? How am I going to take care of this child who needs 24/7 care? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I knew the place wasn't healthy for me or for her, and we had to escape. I'd completely lost myself. So one Tuesday, after I bring her home from preschool, I look at her nurse and I say, you pack her medical equipment. I'm going to pack her clothes and her toys. As soon as she wakes up, we're going to escape. After a flurry of activity while she's napping, we escape. Exactly 2 weeks later, 2 days after Christmas, I hold Jessica in my arms as she takes her last breath and dies. From that moment on, I struggled to see any kind of a future for myself for 10 years. I didn't know what to do with my life. I couldn't get started. I found myself overwhelmed, procrastinating, and not taking action. And I didn't know why. I'm curious. Have you ever had a goal you wanted so bad, but you kept finding yourself procrastinating and not taking action? Have you ever doubted yourself and then realized inside, well, maybe I just don't actually feel like I'm good enough? Or have you ever felt overwhelmed by your growing to-do list and then realized none of it was actually important? Go ahead and say yes in the chat if any of that is relatable to you, because you're not alone. Just about everybody I talk to has, yeah, yes, definitely. We are in this together. I finally realized that there was one missing component, one missing key, and I hadn't had it in nearly a decade. And that's the secret. We all need it and we all experience it sometimes. But when it's gone, you can never accomplish what you want in your life or in your business. And that secret resource is joy. When you have it, you love it. When it's missing, you don't realize it's missing, but nothing seems to work. So today, I'm going to share with you the 5 biggest killers of joy and how to avoid them. I call these my joy-stealing dragons. And don't worry, I've named them. Dragon number 1, I call her second-guessing Sally. She's the dragon who second-guesses every decision. No matter how confident you are when you actually make the decision, she wants you to doubt it, not be sure about it, and consider other options. It can be a big decision, like starting a business, making a move, starting or ending a relationship, or a small decision, like deciding what to wear. Do I put on pants with the zipper, or do I just wear yoga pants again? Whatever it is, are you second guessing yourself? It's wasted time, energy, and resources. Right now, during this global pandemic, second guessing Sally is quite active. When there's no good decision, how do you move forward? There are so many decisions around schooling, the safety of where to go, who to see. You want to do what you did a year and a half ago, yet it isn't the same right now. And she struggles whether you should do anything. And sometimes that struggle keeps you in that inaction. I had a client who really wanted to move forward in her business, yet there was something about it that was keeping her stuck. And she had this opportunity that she'd been working toward, and it sounded so amazing and perfect for her, yet she wasn't doing anything with it. And so we worked together, did the SNAP self-alignment, and through that process, she realized what she needed to do. And what she decided wasn't necessarily what I would have guessed, but it was totally in alignment for her and what she needed to do to move forward. And when she had that full knowing decision, her business took off. And she now feels in alignment and with ease. Dragon number 2, I call her No Good Nancy. No Good Nancy acts like you are not good enough. She wants you to believe that you weren't born good enough. It's not true. She'll whisper in your ear, you can't do that. You're not good enough. And even when you succeed, She'll say, you could have done it better. Who am I to do this role? What if I fail? What if they find out I haven't done this before? Maybe I should get more training or go back to school or read another book before I take that next step. Does any of that sound familiar? I should be able to manage working from home, running my own business, keeping up relationship, homeschooling, keeping everybody healthy. Yeah. She will make you feel like no matter how you do it, you're not doing it the right way. Dragon number 3, Perfect Paula. Perfect Paula wants everything to happen just so before she'll take any action. She won't let you start anything until everything is in place, which in my experience means nothing happens. Once I have my projects complete, it's safe to travel again, my schedule is organized, then I can have fun. When is that going to happen? My client wanted to write a regular newsletter to her clients, but she wasn't doing it because she thought it had to be perfect. And so her clients didn't know her or didn't realize what she did and didn't keep her top of mind. We worked together and she was able to get that perfectionism out of the way so she could actually communicate and connect with the people that she needed to connect with. And now her business is thriving. Perfect Paula can also be detrimental in relationships where you have unrealistic expectations for other people and unrealistic expectations for yourself. Right now, Perfect Paula is freaking out because nothing is the way it was before and things are unsettled. I'm looking around. I don't think anybody here has the names of the dragons that I'm mentioning, but it's nothing personal. If you happen to have a name, they're just nice alliterations. And you may notice that they're women's names. As I said, these are my dragons and I'm sharing them with you. You might have other names for your dragons, but we're just going with these names for now. Dragon number 4, Judging Jenny. Judging Jenny is a complicated dragon because she not only judges other people so that you feel better, but she makes you judge yourself and think everybody else is judging you when, quite frankly, nobody cares. They're too busy thinking about themselves. She makes you think, oh, everybody's looking at me. What will they think? Will they like me? Will they want to work with me? Look at all the amazing photos on social media, but I'm not doing much of anything. Or I'm having so much fun, but look at all the sadness that my friends are going through. Whatever is happening, social media is Judging Jenny's playground. She loves it. Judging Jenny can make you critical of others. Oh, why can't they do it like I do? It would be so much better. Or inadvertently push people away because you're being overly critical of yourself. Like, why can't I do it like them? And comparing, which can be detrimental. Making snap judgments without getting to know someone. At work, this can show up like, oh, they need to do it like me, or why can't I do it like them? In your health, it could show up as, oh, why did I eat that dessert? Or why aren't they vegan, keto, paleo, plant-based, omnivore, whatever dietary regimen you believe in? In your relationship, why didn't my partner do it the way I wanted them to do it? Or why did I say that? Oh, I shouldn't have said it that way. Or looking at other people's relationships and either seeing how amazing they are and comparing yours to that, or, wow, I'm so glad mine is so much better than theirs is. No matter what, she can be detrimental. One of my clients was afraid to make calls to her clients. Actually, I've had several clients who've been afraid to make calls to their clients, which means their businesses aren't growing. But this one in particular, she thought people would judge her because she had a slight hearing loss and she would have to ask people to repeat. And so she didn't like making phone calls. After working together, she's now able to answer the phone and enjoy it and connect with her friends, connect with her family, and connect with her clients so that her business is now thriving. The fifth dragon. I named her Overwhelmed Ophelia. What? Like you could have come up with a better O dragon? Anyways, Overwhelmed Ophelia keeps you busy with a tremendously long to-do list and a packed schedule. She has you take action on tasks that really aren't important. And she makes you think that saying, I'm so busy, sounds more important, as if you have like a badge of honor. She keeps you spinning and avoiding the most important tasks. Yeah, she sounds like you, doesn't she? She keeps you spinning and avoiding the most important tasks. She makes you feel like you need 10 of you to keep going. Staying healthy, exercising, having fun, having 15 Zoom calls a day, scrolling aimlessly through social media, watching the news. My client had so much to do, had ineffective systems, and wouldn't ask for help. She didn't know where to start, and she kept spinning in circles. After we worked together, she was able to organize her office, create the systems she needed, and be willing to ask for help. And when she did that, she could take on the project she wanted and really accomplish her goals. At work, Overwhelmed Ophelia can show up as too much to do, too many tasks, not enough time, or at least the sense of that. In your health, it can show up as, how do I make time for my exercise and eating right? There isn't time. Or in this pandemic, suddenly we have more time, but do we really? It seems like it all disappeared. In relationships, too much to do. Can't have a date night because can't actually go anywhere. Or if we do, we're sitting outside in the freezing cold having dinner. Or if you happen to be single and you want to be dating and you don't want to do it during a pandemic. In my Quiz for Joy membership group, one topic we've addressed is how to reduce the busy and stay focused on what's most important. All 5 of these dragons, if you let them in, will steal your joy. And you won't even know it happened. Joy may be missing from your life. If you find yourself in the same routine day after day, asking, what happened to my life? And I should know, I let it happen for 10 years. If you would like to know which dragon is most active in your life, I have a fun, quick quiz for you. I'm going to share this and I'll put it in the chat as well. Hold on, let me see. This is the fun of sharing on Zoom. Woohoo! So you can take the quiz at joystealingdragons.com. And I encourage you to do it right now and see which of the dragons is most active in your life. And you'll get some fun tips of addressing each of the different dragons as well. A little bit more than maybe what I've shared. And I'll go ahead, and if you have one of those scanner things, you can just hold your phone up to the screen and it'll instantly open that site. So when you take the quiz, let me know what your answer is. Which of the dragons is most active in your life? Is it second guessing Sally? You can put it in the chat. Second guessing Sally, no good Nancy, perfect Paula, judging Jenny, or overwhelmed Ophelia? I'm curious because I know different people have commented as I've been speaking about the different dragons that are showing up in your life, but I'm just curious which ones seem to be most active for you. Perfect Paula, overwhelmed Ophelia. Yeah, we got lots of them. And as you are, give you a moment or two to continue putting those in the chat. Yeah, and that's the thing. You're not just going to have one of these dragons. I know it would be nice if you only had one. My experience is people have a predominant dragon and elements of all of them. And it depends on the context which dragon shows up. So knowing that you have these dragons, I want you to take a moment and write down one example of that dragon and how it's showing up in your life. What is it preventing you from doing? And just take a moment to jot that down for yourself. And in a moment, I'll ask if anyone has anything that they want to share. So just what, that most active dragon, how is it showing up? What is it preventing you from doing?
Linda, would you like people to kind of unmute themselves and talk instead of putting it in the chat?
Yeah, we can do that. And so if you have a way that this dragon is showing up, go ahead and unmute and share if you're.
Well, I can start. I'm a bit of the overwhelming Ophelia, and I find myself getting so caught up with trying to get things done. I'll wake up in the morning, sit myself in front of the computer screen. Before I know it, it's dark out, and I realize I haven't even had a chance to go outside and get some fresh air, which I love to do. So that's one of the consequences of being overwhelmed for me.
Yeah. Who else has something they want to share? Yeah, go ahead. You're muted. You need to unmute yourself.
I think for me, it's like there's so many ideas and so many opportunities and all these wonderful things coming in my field, especially, and then it's like, well, I want to do that one, I want to do that one, I want to listen to that one, I want to do that, and then I don't actually get done the very things on the list because it's like there's huge rainbow in the sky, and you're so distracted by the rainbow that you forget that you still have to go to your job, so to speak. So that's kind of how it shows up for me. Ophelia.
Somebody asked if I would share the image of the quiz. I just put the link in the chat to make it easier, so you can just click on it if you want to. And if you, yeah, anybody else want to share what dragon is most active? Go ahead, Laura.
I just took the quiz and it says it's perfect Paula is the most active dragon for me. It was hard to answer your questions. I didn't really fit in all those categories, but it apparently is perfect Paula.
As I said, there are going to be elements of all of them, and that's interesting. So just notice what you learn from that and see what else. And I will be sharing some more tips of what do you do with these dragons.
She definitely plays a part in my life. There is no, I've been working on that dragon for a really long time. I had a conversation about that with Bob yesterday. Yeah, I can admit.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else have something they want to share? Denise?
Hi, I took the quiz and it says that I'm second guessing Sally. So that was really interesting to see how that turned out. And I think I can see where that happens with me. I'm trying to really work on more prospecting and, trying to refine my elevator pitch and just get comfortable selling myself, and it's hard. And I second guess myself. That confidence level is tough.
That happens. That happens. It's like you decide on something and you try it out, and then maybe you get feedback that you don't like it. Somebody doesn't like it, or it doesn't land the way you expect it to, and then you try and change it. And
Yeah, it's hard, but I'm working on it.
it,
It's interesting to see all the different, where we all fall in different categories there.
right. And no matter which one may be your primary, as I said, you'll likely have elements of more than one. Anyone else? I have time for one more share, and then I'm going to move on to the next portion. All right, great.
Hi, Linda.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. This is wonderful. What I wanted to share is just, I think specifically during COVID, I find that there's maybe a combination of the second guessing Sally and the overwhelmed Ophelia, because there's now what seems to be an overwhelming number of opportunities to do more and more and more. Everything has moved online with webinars and with Zoom, and being home more, you just have this unlimited amount of information and participation. And so for a lot of people I know who are achievers and want to take the opportunity, and you think you have the time to do more, then you end up having, you know, an unrealistic world of opportunities. So I think the multiple dragons can, as you said, be part of the situation at the same time. And you second guess which choice you made, and was it the best one, and should you have done this instead of that, or you didn't do your work because you were having too much fun on a webinar. So
Right.
Thank you for sharing all this. It's great.
Yeah, well, and now knowing which dragons are most active and knowing the problems that they're causing, let's get to the principles of how to tame these dragons. So the first principle is live a better story. What do I mean by that? We each have a choice. I learned from my friend Maria, who told me when my daughter Jessica was first diagnosed at 3 months, you cannot change what happens to you. You can only change how you deal with it. And my story used to tell me how to feel, how to act, what's possible. Now I tell my story, empowered and with passion. I choose to not let what happened to me direct my life. I use it to influence my life, but not to direct it. Your story is the core of you. Story equals meaning, and meaning controls everything. And I know at the beginning of this, we were talking about storytelling and the power of storytelling, and the power of what you are telling yourself is so important. You can't change your past. You can't change the facts, but you can change how you interpret them and the meaning that you make around them. That is powerful. So ask yourself, do you like the story that you've been telling yourself? Or do you want to change it and tell it differently? The meaning you give to your story can be coming from what you've learned. Perhaps you've learned you had to always be in control and be strong and never show emotions. And then you wonder why relationships don't work out the way you want. Or maybe you learned not to confront and to go along with everyone else, and wonder why your needs don't seem to be met. My client Jay had lost herself. She'd had a traumatic childhood and the death of her spouse. And her story revolved around the others in her life, almost making her invisible. Through our work together, she is now being herself, showing up the way she wants to, communicating powerfully with the people who used to intimidate her, and showing up truly as she wants to be. Now she's continuing to evolve, so that story may continue to change. However, she no longer has that negative anchor holding her back from living the life that she wants to live. And she's continuing to surprise herself with how easily she's able to navigate certain situations that used to cause her tremendous emotional upset. People need me to live and tell my story. People need you to live and tell yours. What story do you want to change? Go ahead and just take a moment and jot it down. Think about, what is the story that you've been telling yourself? Maybe there's the story that you're never going to make it, or maybe there's a story that you can't have too much, or maybe that money means whatever money means to you, or that you have to work hard for your success, or you have to do this, or whatever happened in your past, how that may be impacting you. So I'm going to ask, does anybody have anything? I'll give you a moment to jot that down for yourself. And then does anybody have anything they'd like to share around that?
I can
Yeah,
start
Bob.
out with one. So I have this thing that, I'm self-employed and I do commission income. So, when it's time to retire, then I don't have a pension or, Social Security is not going to cut the mustard. So I'd like to retire when I'm 70, and I'm doing what I can to get there, but I have this overcoming fear. It's like, what if it's not enough? When do I know when to stop? So that I think that kind of plays into what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the story of enough is definitely a story that many people have. And what does enough mean? Whether it's about yourself, or whether it's about your bank account, or whether it's about relationships, anything. Anybody else have a story that they want to change?
Oops, I guess I'm unmuted. I think about procrastination, that, like right now we're at home, nobody's coming over. And I'm one of those people who the only time my house is tidy is when company's coming. So, I tell myself that it doesn't matter because it's just my husband and I, but it does matter. And it matters for our mental sanity. And it's something that I would like to be able to focus on, but it's just not a high priority for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
And that can impact, as you said, it can impact your mental well-being. It can impact the stress level. It can impact all sorts of things.
I like that, Kim, what she said, that's put it off, Petunia.
As I said, there are probably many other dragons.
That's great.
Does anybody else have a story that they want to change or tell differently? And some of you, I can't see your hands because all I see is your photo or your name. So if you,
Linda, there's a Tom Kearney put a nice thing in there about borderline Bruno. It's about how he sets time to do his plan, and someone always needs something from me, and I surrender that time.
just you wait. We're going to be talking about time in just a moment. For that, I think we'll go on to the next principle. Tell time what to do. And this fits in perfectly. Time is going to keep going. Grief, anxiety, overwhelm, stress, all of that does not get solved by time. I know we've heard, but time heals everything. No, it does not. We do not have that luxury of time. It's what you do with the time that matters. Because I know people who have sat for decades doing nothing, and they're still doing nothing, or they're still miserable because they haven't actually worked through whatever they want to work through. Now, there's no judgment in that. That's their choice. However, expecting something to change just because time has passed isn't going to work. So I want to commend you for being here and being curious about What are these joy-stealing dragons? What do I do about them? Because that indicates that you have a growth-minded outlook on life and you want to continue to improve. And things can actually get worse if you're waiting for time, because you can spend too much time in a negative emotion or too much time in avoidance, and then that problem keeps building up. So what I say is time does not heal all wounds. It's what you do with the time that matters. And if you actually do something, maybe you seek help, maybe you get guidance from someone else who's been on that journey, you can get through it faster and more effectively in the way that you want to be. And the secret to getting unstuck is to direct time to what you want. Decide what you're going to use your time on and focus on that. And sometimes there are other factors that are pulling at us, other people that are pulling at us, other commitments. But ultimately, it's up to you to make that decision. So I'm going to ask, have you ever procrastinated or put off an important decision and it turned into a crisis? Maybe you noticed the roof was leaking and you said, I'll get to it later. And then it caved in. Or you waited to call or visit a loved one, and then they got sick, or worse, died. Have you put off making a decision, and eventually that decision was made for you? Things like waiting to apply for that job, and then the deadline passed, so you couldn't even be considered. Or you didn't tell the person that you cared and they ended up with somebody else. Or you weren't sure if you wanted to have a child and you waited and then your biological clock stopped ticking. Every behavior is something you decided to do, consciously or subconsciously. And the root of every behavior is a decision. And so thinking time is going to fix something is not helpful. I have a client who used to treat her business like a hobby. She wanted to do it, but she kept finding ways to distract herself. Oh, I have to do this volunteer project. Oh, I need to help my family with this. And never actually focused on her business, even though she was a business person. Through her VIP work, she is now growing her business and is loving it, and is using every activity that she has to help her grow her business. So if she's doing volunteer work, it's in alignment with her business rather than a complete distraction. And she's chosen how to use her time, so it's working for her. I'm curious, what are you allowing time to decide? Go ahead and jot that down for yourself. What are you allowing time to decide? Maybe it's that leaky faucet that hasn't gotten fixed. Maybe it's some big project. Maybe it's work related. Maybe it's relationship related. If you avoid that conversation, will it actually fix itself? Probably not. And if anybody wants to share, go ahead and unmute yourself and share. Nobody wants to admit that they're allowing time to decide something. Denise, go ahead.
All right, I'll go out there. I don't know if this seems not a big deal, but in related to work-wise, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like the thorn in my side because, you know, it started out like 10, 15, 20 years ago. And when we're all new and you opened up a LinkedIn account and you started with one job, 5, 10 years later, you go to another job, you never close that LinkedIn, you have a new LinkedIn. I've got like 3 or 4 LinkedIn's accounts, and you're supposed to be able to close them, but there's a certain way to do it. And the LinkedIn people do not help. And so I get to a point where like, I want to work on this and I get an obstacle and then I just shut down again. And I'm like, I know I need to do it, but it's like getting past that hump to make it happen. I know there's a way, but boy, does anybody else have that issue with LinkedIn? Oh.
Not specific with LinkedIn, but with other projects. That running up into an obstacle and then saying, I'll deal with it later. Whatever that obstacle is, whether it's a tech glitch, whether it's you need information from somebody else, and waiting for that, and then deciding, forget it, I'm going to work on something else altogether, and months go by, years go by, and the project never happens. So, are you spending time on what is most important? And what are you sacrificing? Billionaire investor Warren Buffett says that the best investment you can make is the one you can't beat. You can't be taxed, and not even inflation can take it away. And that is ultimately to invest in yourself. Are you spending time and resources investing in yourself? I know today you are spending time, and I want to acknowledge you on that. Or are you spending time aimlessly scrolling through social media, watching Netflix or whatever, YouTube, cat videos, whatever? Principle number 3, choose your voices. We have voices all around us all the time. We have the external voices, and I know somebody brought that up, of somebody else demanding something of you. And we have the internal voices. Yes, I know you talk to yourself. We all do. We all have those voices in our heads. And often the voices that are in our heads are critical and unhelpful. And a good percentage of the time, they're not even our own voices. There's somebody else's voice that got implanted in there and stays. Not helpful. It could be maybe a parent. It could be a bully from elementary school. It could be a teacher. It could be an ex. Who knows? But those voices stay in your head. And those second guessing Sally might be there. It's like, oh, you should do that. No, you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should do that. Or maybe they sound like no good Nancy. You're not good enough. You can't do that. Or they might sound like perfect Paula. You have to make sure everything is in place before you can start. Oh, it better be perfect. Don't release that unless it's absolutely perfect. Or judging Jenny. Oh, they're smarter, more successful. Don't even try. Or overwhelmed Ophelia. Oh, you're too busy to fill in the blank. You can tell that voice what to do. And you can choose to listen to the voices that serve you. Now, what about those external voices, the people around you? We often take it for granted that we have to listen to them. Maybe we feel like we have to listen to that negative family member or that friend or business associate who complains all the time. But you can choose the right voices. Just because somebody is close to you doesn't mean they have to be close to you. My client didn't feel good enough. She'd had a lot of negative self-talk that really had come from somebody else. And in my inner game mastery program, we did the quantum time release, and she was able to recognize the voices were not hers and ultimately choose to keep the positive voices and let the negative ones go. And she could catch herself so that she could have a better relationship with herself and therefore with her partner. I'm curious, what are some of those negative voices saying to you? You can either just jot it down, put it in the chat, or you can Yeah, not even sure you can choose which voices to listen to. It's fascinating though, you can. You may not realize you can. And so today I just want you to have the awareness that it's even possible to choose. But what are some of those voices saying to you? If anybody wants to share, you can unmute. Or you can put it in the chat. And if you don't want to share, we all have them. It's okay. They're usually what you wouldn't dare say to your worst enemy. And you say it to yourself. And that's why it's so detrimental. So I'm curious, which of these three principles is most important for you to implement now? Live a better story, tell time what to do, or choose your voices. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Yeah, so much harder on yourself than anyone else. We tend to be super critical of ourselves, and often that criticism is learned from some outside source. We aren't born that critical. Yeah, tell time what to do. So now that you know that these joy-stealing dragons, second-guessing Sally, no good Nancy, perfect Paula, judging Jenny, overwhelmed Ophelia, are stealing your joy, and you have the principles of living a better story, tell time what to do, choose your voices. And the last piece is a simple solution. There's one thing that will tame every one of these dragons. Take action. It sounds really simple, but the challenge is not all action is the same. And most people find themselves not doing it. I'm just curious, is there anything that you haven't taken action on that you know that you know what you need to be doing, but for some reason you're not doing it? Just, I have you on gallery view, so I can see those of you who don't have your cameras off. Just raise your hand. Anybody? Anybody? Yeah, that's pretty universal. There's always something that we haven't taken action on that we want to be taking action on. And the challenge, I've identified 4 different types of action that you need to take on a daily basis to begin to get results. And what I want to do for you is I want to give you a gift. Because Bob is such an amazing host and runs this coffee chat every week to share amazing ideas. And I would love to dive even deeper in this, but we only had an hour. So I want to give you a 60-minute Tame the Dragon strategy session with me. And from that, we will identify and get clarity on what it is that you really are wanting. What story is keeping you from getting that? And identify which of the 4 types of action is going to be the best for you to start taking now, based on your unique situation. And people have had profound experiences on this first call with me. One person was like, it caused me to reflect. And I really could put words to the things that I wanted to improve about my life. The session is valued at $500, but because Bob is so amazing and this group is fantastic, I want to give this to you as a gift. So all you need to do to take advantage of this is to take action. Go to, and I will share my screen so that you have the link, timewithlinda.com. I will say that and then I will share that. Let's see. So go to timewithlinda.com and sign up for an available time. I open up my calendar next week and have limited availability. So if for some reason you don't get a slot, there's an email address on that site, and I'll put you on the waiting list. After you sign up, there's a simple questionnaire to help us make the most of our session together. And many people have found that just filling out that questionnaire has given them tremendous insight. Now, this isn't for everyone. If you're content and want to keep your dragons, that's fine. If you're ready to get rid of them for good, sign up. And if it's a fit, we'll talk about how we can work together. In a moment, I will put all of that information in. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I will put all that information in the chat for you. I love technology, all the moving parts. So in case you didn't take the quiz already, I'll put that back in the chat, and then I'll put the link to sign up for the session. And go ahead and schedule one. I would love to talk more. That hummingbird. The hummingbird is finally tired of struggling. It's been frantically trying to get out of that skylight. I get up on a ladder. I reach out my hands, and it allows me to gently guide it outside so it can go where it wants to go. Remember, don't let the dragons take over your life. Instead, bring back the joy. Turn it back over to you, Bob.